Hey, morning, and welcome to what feels like a really autumnal tea break coach today. I wanted to chat to you about something that I've been talking on the radio about over the last couple of weeks, which is Amazon's decision to insist that its employees come back to the office 5 days a week. Now, quite often I'm asked about what's the employment law say about that, and obviously I can explain that, and it's reasonably straightforward, I suppose, but the really interesting thing for me is what's happening in people's brains that mean that the productivity of an organisation might be affected, because quite often the debate is about, are we more productive in the office or more productive when we're working from home? And for me, that is really interesting to explore, because what is for sure is that if a decision to ask you to return to the office feels unfair, that will definitely affect your productivity. And there's two key reasons for that. Firstly, when something feels unfair, and remember, we feel something unfair, it doesn't mean it is or it isn't, it just means we feel it's unfair, our threat mechanism is triggered. So our fight, flight, freeze or appease mode is triggered. And what that means is there's just less blood and oxygen in the prefrontal cortex for us to do good thinking. So we're going to be less productive if we feel something's unfair, because the blood and oxygen that powers the prefrontal cortex, the blood and oxygen's gone somewhere else to power our threat response. The second thing is, we're not very good at multitasking as human beings, because this prefrontal cortex here was the last bit of the brain to evolve, and it's quite small. So we can't do two things at once. So if we are trying to get our job done and trying to focus on our work, but we're also angry or we're worrying about a change to our working conditions, we will be less productive, because we will be switching between trying to focus on work and worrying or being angry. The other thing that I've been talking to organisations about and leaders is the fact that over time, these things can fester. And when we don't communicate well, when we don't talk to employees about how they are feeling about this, that can create some quite long-term resentment. And the difficulty is that you've got to continue to have an engaged and motivated workforce after you've enforced any decision. And every study that I've either been involved in or read says that people who are engaged and happy at work make that organisation more money. Finally, what I'm talking to organisations about is just also have a think about your employer brand, because every employee has friends and relatives, and the world now is a much smaller place because of social media. So if you do something and enforce something, it could be that your customers get to know, your employer brand's affected. So you just need to approach these things these days with a much more holistic approach and understanding the impact that decisions might have on somebody's brain. Conversations like this aren't easy. It's likely that different people will have different perspectives and will disagree. But it's at this point where you need really good adult-to-adult conversations where we are interested in people's feelings in order to be able to navigate them well. I hope that's helped you on what is a bit of a gloomy day, just to think a little bit differently about some of the challenges that you might have coming up in response to whether people should be back in the office or not. Take care for now. Hope you have a great day.